Well, I was actually considering it more like parting the sea, Erik. Like it's halfway between two sessions of POD. So we're basically splitting the sea and walking across the bottom of it to the other side, and seeing and as if we were going to see what's up on the other side. Yeah, deep like the sea. Yeah. I think we'll be on air in about 2 minutes. So we have 2 minutes more to discuss about stuff that you want to discuss. So, yeah. My underwear is like the best underwear because it has a toupee. Can't hear Erik. What's happening? What is happening? Oh. And he's being such a funny guy. Why is my guest audio, not working? That's strange. Why is it not working? Because, wait, I have to get out of studio modus, like that. Why isn't it working? It's working like this. Can you please talk?
Please talk. Can anybody hear me?
Can anybody hear him?
I'm lonely, so lonely.
Your thingy is doing its work on my side, but I don't know if that's working for chat then. Clear and loud and lonely. Yeah, he's
okay. Yeah.
So
also back.
There went our joke.
Well,
but it took 2 minutes, I think. So that's the great part about it all. Welcome to Talking Void. Let's put it that way. Yeah, of course, when you try to do something funny, sometimes stuff breaks. That's because the barriers between normal space and funny space are very thin, and they can break easily, or tear even. That's when you get the straight funny sounds.
Okay. But hello, Jasper. Welcome back.
Hello, Erik. Yeah, welcome back to Talking Void. We haven't been on, we haven't been on with anything Voidcast related for almost 3 weeks now.
Yeah, 3 weeks it has been, and it has been an anxious 3 weeks. I've been frothing at the mouth, and my pen hand is really twitching to make new artwork. So
twitching even.
Yeah, twitching.
Oh, that's so cool because we are on Twitch right now.
Twitch. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So let's do some socials then, right?
Yeah, let's do some socials.
So we have socials. We have kind of a lot of them. Hey, that's a better face. I've got shorter hair. Can you see?
Yeah, hey, you have. I can see your face finally. Normally, you have a bunch of hair in front of your face, and now.
When I do it like this.
Yeah, it looks very
kind of an older Metallica head or something. Anyway, we've got Twitch, we've got Facebook, we've got Instagram, we've got Discord, we've got YouTube, and on all these pages you can follow us and do everything you want to do with your social connections, and we would really appreciate you doing that because that helps us out greatly. We are trying to invest in our friendships as well, which is like Lady Q is here in chat from Top Down Tabletop, so that's pretty cool. And we always try to get the community, be part of a community that can grow together. So support our friends as well. And watch our cooperations, like we did the Call of Cthulhu one, and we did the Dust City Outlaws one, and you can still see them on YouTube. Visit them as well. Crossover, that's pretty fun. And that's really all I have to say about socials.
Yeah, you can find all our socials on linktr.ee/voidcastlive. That's linktree/voidcastlive.
! Socials in chat. So, and then the other thing is, when will be our next show? When will our next show be? What will be our next show?
I have no clue.
Why is our next show even?
I think our next show will be in 2 weeks, right? So we have next week. We still are skipping the Precipice of Dreams next week.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Will you be doing a Jasper's Lab next week?
Yes, probably. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I think our next show will be Jasper's Lab.
Indeed. So we'll be doing that one. And then the week after that, we might have a one-shot. I don't really know.
Yeah,
We might have parallel projections again.
Yeah, I think it was a planned one-shot with Michel from Parallel Projections, and then I will be in it as well. So,
The
but we
special
have
announcement
confirmed this.
still have to get out, right?
Yeah, the special announcement still has to get out. So, watch our socials, and the announcement will be up soon.
Yeah. And then the week after that, we finally have another Precipice of Dreams again. And that's what I was talking about parting the sea. 3 weeks on either side of this Talking Void episode. And then, So that's what's happening. I didn't realize myself that I updated my dia thingy. So that's pretty cool. I'm seeing Quintus
Awesome.
on stream. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, it's Quintus.
Right? So let's go back into studio modus. That's still working. Whew, luckily. Yeah, let's do the introduction, right?
Yeah, let's do the introduction.
Here we go.
Always awesome.
I cut it off, but that was so you could see me drink some coffee. Which makes my throat dry and makes it harder to speak on stream. And that's why I've got my Talking Void mug. Hopefully it will be in a shop at some point in time. I don't know, but who knows, right?
Yeah. Where do you get these mugs, Jasper? I want one.
You have to ask Roger. Why didn't Moses split the sea on Twitch? I think there's a historical explanation for that, Agner, because there wasn't Twitch when he did split the sea. Supposedly he did, and then, or they did. But since we couldn't bear witness, we are not sure about that either, although it has been described in more than one book. But I think the main problem is that there wasn't any Twitch around.
I think that was a big problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or he didn't have internet connection in the desert. That's also a problem.
I think, those things might be adding up in the long run. Yeah. So I hope that was the answer you were looking for, Agner. So let me introduce my guest to you. This is Erik. Erik is a very versatile man. He knows how to draw. He knows how to do RPGs. He knows how to join me as a guest on Talking Void. And that makes him be able to do 3 things. And that makes him quite versatile. Versatile. I have to say, when you aren't talking English for 3 weeks, I have to get the hang of it again. Anyway.
Yeah, it's not our native tongue, and we don't speak it on a regular basis. So
no. And
I think Jasper and I are the only 2 who aren't online gaming at the moment. So that's also a problem. Most online gamers like Roger speak English during, games like World of Warcraft, and I just do single-player games, and that's, a lot of fun, but no talking, and it really affects my English.
I can imagine that he's a bit louder. Let's put him there. So that's the thing. And the other thing is that I even play City Skylines the most, which is a very solitary game in that there isn't even that much sound going on. So I have Spotify in the background. I don't know why that is relevant, but, we were talking about games. Yeah, I'm herding 17 people through a raid right now, and he's still able to chat. That's you see what's happening. WoW is such an easy game. You can still do typing and a raid at the same time. I heard it is going downhill. Oh, he's on the break. Okay. Anyway, Talking Void. That's the show that we are doing. And the main question of the evening will be, what was the most epic location you have ever visited with a character and why? Or some semblance of that sentence that I just threw out, got out of my mouth. Anyway. And the other thing that we'll be discussing is the last episode of the Precipice of Dreams, which is what we are going to dive in first, before we are going to dive into the main topic. So, what was the title again? It was Talks and Prayers.
I think Talks and Prayers, yeah.
So, what did you think of the episode?
Yeah, it was an awesome episode, man. I really enjoy playing my new character. I always played characters who are very opposed to faith. I don't know why that is. Maybe I'm a rebel and I don't like to be a faithful man in my games, or a man of faith in my games. And I thought, well, let's try something different. So now I have the most radicalized, faithful zealot in the party.
You're going to call yourself a zealot? Which is kind of anti-Paragon, right?
No. He is zealous, but
not to the extreme. Then.
Not to the extreme, but it was
not yet.
It's absolutely fun to play him, and he really bounces off against Bowen in more ways than one. Sometimes he supports him in his faith, and sometimes he directly opposes him. And I like to see where this character develops himself.
Yeah, and he's sometimes he's even trying to outdo Bowen, right?
No, he always outdoes Bowen. That's the problem.
Okay. Yeah, so Jasper really likes him. Enough said.
But yeah, it's a new party member, and it will bring a whole nother dynamic to the party. And I'm very curious how this will grow and how this will affect the party dynamic as a whole and the story. Because Thomas was a part of the party, and the story was going a certain direction. And now it will take a whole nother direction with Quintus in it. But how did you enjoy the show? And of course, I really loved the game Roger prepared as usual. Roger is a masterful dungeon master, and I am so very happy to play in his games.
Well, did he prepare anything for this session? Because we kind of talked about. No, he did. But yes, you're right. You're totally right. He does an amazing job. But I think he said afterwards that he really prepared our journey and stuff. You did prepare. I know. But and then we kind of stayed in the same location and did all kinds of other things as well. But I also really liked the last session because it was really relaxed. We had great conversations. I think it was necessary, but it was necessary in another way than we did the session before that, where we kind of were on the road and discussing all kinds of stuff about all kinds of epic stuff, so to say. Mm-hmm. And this time, although we also discussed some epic stuff, it was also a bit of character development, I think, which was necessary in a way. Because I think we all had some things happening to us that really put things in a different light. And it made us consider... it made us consider our choices. Is that the right way to put it? I don't know. For example, Bowen was confronted by the fact that there is another Bowen. And I really like my short conversation with Solving and Aldrief, where I said to Aldrief, I don't want to discuss this with you, and I want to discuss this with Solving, but not right now, which is partly because he really doesn't want to discuss it because Bowen isn't a liar or anything, but partly because he wants to postpone what he's trying to say. What he's postponing him dealing with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I kind of figured that out. He really postponed every conversation that was thrown at him. So, or every confrontation that was thrown at him. He was very passive for Bowen, and Bowen normally doesn't get out of the way of a conversation or a conflict. And now he was very passive in his well, not passive, but he was. Zo, voorzichtig.
Careful.
Careful, that was it. Careful cantrip. Follow them on Twitch.
He was. You're totally right. I think he was meandering through the options of conversations that he had and not saying anything that would confirm his other side, nor trying to say that his friends were liars or anything. Actually, that is his main thing right now. He considers... He thinks that the others wouldn't lie to him, but that puts him in a position where he has to accept stuff that they are saying to him, and that's really difficult.
So also a very awesome development to watch in the coming episodes, because Bowen will need to come to terms with that.
I don't know. Does he?
Or he doesn't come to terms with it, and how does that affect the party?
Yeah.
There are a lot of interesting and awesome developments coming to the story, and
I think so too.
I can't wait to play again in a couple of weeks.
So, Quintus, Gunther, two characters again. How is it to switch between those two again, and how is it to play Gunther again?
Yeah, it was. It took me a moment to get into Gunther again, because I played Thomas solo for a couple of months, and suddenly we were back with Gunther, and we had to say goodbye to Thomas. I actually played 3 characters in one episode, not the previous episode, but the episode before that, because we had Thomas and the goodbye of Thomas, and then we met Gunther again, and for the first time we met Quintus. So yeah, it's a lot of switching around, but I also Dungeon Master, so I don't have a lot of difficulty switching between characters, but I do have to keep in mind that Gunther and Quintus are 2 very different kinds of people, and I need to act very differently with each character. So that will be a challenge, but a bit of a challenge, but I think I'll do fine. I hope I'll do fine.
Yeah, I think you will. By the way, if chat has any questions about the last couple of episodes possibly, and has any questions about Thomas, for example, please ask them of Erik, because I think this is actually the first time that you are on the show when your whole part has been done, right?
I think Thomas. So. Yeah, this is the first time since Thomas died that I'm on Talking Void again.
Weren't you on Talking Void?
No. I was right after I died. I did
not after you returned, but after you really died. Yeah.
So if any of you have any questions, please let me know in chat, and I will try to answer them as truthfully as possible.
Yeah, without spoiling.
Yeah.
Is that difficult for you to not spoil things that you might have had an idea of what was to come, for example?
Well, Thomas dying wasn't exactly planned out, so Roger and I had to improvise a lot. We've come to terms with it, and also the introduction of the new character, that was it was all we planned it out, and we even planned out when you guys would meet him, and that was awesome. But no, I don't have any difficulty lying to you guys. So that's not a problem.
No, we know that by now because you do all the assets and stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Though that is sometimes the difficult part, because I do plan out all the assets. Well, I do draw all the assets that Roger asks me, and sometimes I know a month or two before what kind of creatures we are dealing with. And sometimes it takes the surprise out a bit, but still love drawing them. So I'll take it for leave. I'll
Something.
I'll take it for granted. Yeah,
I take it for leave. That's a nice Dutch sentence there. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, the other thing that Bowen has to do is come to terms with Thomas's death. Seeing Gunther within 2 days instead of all the time that has been passing for you, and coming to terms with this new Quintus guy. So I have to carefully think about what Bowen doesn't know and react from his perspective. Yeah,
and this dual side.
Well, there is no dual side, so no problem.
Okay, so Bowen Darkheart does not exist.
No, I don't know. I as long as nobody is seriously going to prod him, I don't think I'm going to actually acknowledge it in a big way. Which is hard to roleplay. I have experienced that already. Hey, Michelle, welcome to the
Michelle's
chat.
here in chat. Welcome.
Has some interwebs.
Yes, have a bar of internet, so
Yeah.
stay with us, Michelle. Stay with us.
Yeah. Let's talk about Solwing and Altleaf as well, because we can now gossip about them because they aren't here.
No, Solwing is not here in chat, but Michelle is here, so...
No, Michelle is here, but not Altleaf.
No, Altleaf is not here, so...
Yeah.
Really curious about all the developments, because we have some otherworldly powers running around this group, especially with Solwing and his sun powers, and Altleaf with her angelic and demonic and, dark entity powers. I really want to know how that pans out in the next couple of episodes.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting that we came to discover that somewhere in the line of the Ravensfingers there was a person, an uncle, I think, who held a spear and fought in the divine wars and did stuff there. So that's a kind of revelation that pushes me back towards the idea of an angel in our midst, which I was... As Jasper and Bowen Darkheart didn't really think about that, was pretty I really like that aspect, because then Bowen really has a thing to discover in Altleaf. So who knows what an angel really is, right? Or a divine agent or something. So yeah.
And Bowen always thought, Bowen is sort of convinced that Altleaf is an angel, but how will Quintus react to it? That's also...
oh, it's interesting, yeah.
Quintus is a bit more strict and a bit more...
Strict?
Yeah, strict in the rules of the church, and at least he thinks he's more strict in the rules of the church.
Yeah, okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm really we now have two holy men in the party, and I
really like the conflict, especially because they are of the same faith. I really like that aspect, and I think it was said in the last Talking Void somewhere as well that this is a really interesting thing. Not two different faiths fighting over who is right, but two perspectives on the same faith. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah.
And together we can develop this faith. And that's the beauty of it. Roger has the tenets of Adon. He has 10 tenets of Adon.
8.
But 8 tenets of Adon. No, there are 10 tenets of Adon.
I'm the true holy man, you know.
Yeah, I still need to read up on all that holy crap. But he has the tenets of Adon, and we must uphold the tenets of Adon. But really, that's about it. There's the structure of the church, and there are some couple of snippets, and I think there are some opportunities for us to explore how this faith is practiced and how the faith is perceived in the world. And
yeah, I think that's interesting as well. And the other thing is that I truly hope that we can discover that we are in fact following a real God.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the thing that Bowen might have troubles with digesting if it comes to be that. Well, I think what do you think we're worshipping?
Me Erik or me Quintus?
Erik.
Erik. I really don't know. I think it's not a god. I think it's an entity that pretends to be a god. But I think there were gods once, and that this entity took them all over, like a dark power, or he not took them all over, but he pushed them all out, and he took over the faith, and he's pretending to be a god. I think it will be a pretender.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
but only time will tell.
I think it will. It's kind of, a living source, like a bundle of energy that protects itself without that much knowledge. But yeah.
I can't wait, and it will take, I think, years before we reach that point. But I can't wait until we find out what Adon really is and how our characters will react to that.
Yeah.
Do we cling to Adon, or do we oppose him, or do we follow blind faith, or do we use common sense?
I truly have been thinking about what would he do if it turns out it isn't the thing that he was supposed to follow. Will he change to another class for that one level of cleric that he has, for example? I could do a Source Disciple, which is my own homebrew, and it's the opposite of the Void Disciple, so that might be a funny thing. But I've also been thinking of Druid or something, or maybe even Warlock. But I don't know yet. 2 holy men and an angel sounds like a bad rom-com, says Michelle.
Yeah.
And a Birdman.
And a Birdman, yeah.
Yeah. It does sound like a bad rom-com, but it's one that I would like to watch, because if they made a series out of our characters, that would be really great. So let's do what is it called? A Kickstarter. We set the bar at $750,000, but we expect about 3 million. 11 million, sorry.
Yeah, I don't think we have reached that level yet, but
no, I don't think so either.
It's always good to dream.
Yeah. How I Met Your Fathers.
Awesome.
Yeah. So do we have anything else to discuss about the episode? Well, let's talk about Solwing for a moment, because we haven't discussed him. What do you think of his demeanor?
Well, Solwing is still the most stable person in the group.
But he kind of had to think about his sun powers in a different way as well. And I think that in a way, but I just realized this, so it might not be true at all. But he has to cope with kind of the same thing that Bowen does. Because Adon might be something different than he expects, but he might in fact be worshipping part of a sun god instead of the sun itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really don't know. Solwing... I always think that Solwing is the most stable person in the group, and suddenly a light gave out, so I'll fix that later. Solwing is always the most stable person in the group, and this really did put his faith also in a new perspective. But still, he took it well, I
Yeah,
think.
or do we think he took it well?
Yeah, maybe that he lashes out in the next couple of episodes. That might be true.
Yeah, because he keeps correcting people into saying that he is worshipping the sun instead of anything else.
Yeah.
As if an entity behind the sun couldn't be the subject of his worship. I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think we have to keep an eye on him. But I don't think that Bowen would keep an eye on him in that sense until something very obvious might happen. But yeah.
I have to do something in 3 seconds because there is a cable losing. But continue talking. I can still hear you.
Oh, seeing your butt.
No, you can't.
Oh, okay. That's a pity. Oh, no, it's not a pity. Anyway. Yeah, well, I think that's about everything for last... there's so many things going on, and we can speculate about what's happening because we still don't know what's going to happen in Brentwick because it isn't canon anymore that we did that because Thomas is dead, but there might be parallel universes, who knows? Other dimensions, other timelines, other stuff happening, so that can still happen. Brentwick is still miles away. We've got a map now where we can see how far we have to travel, so that's the thing.
The question is, does it even exist, Brentwick?
Does it still exist is the other thing. We haven't seen refugees from that area. Only 9, I can go longer. Thanks, Ash. Thank you so much. Welcome to the chat. Just finishing up the Precipice of Dreams, Ashley. So, going into the main topic. There's so many speculations that you can have. I'm also still thinking about what is this adventure really about, you know? And I have that in more than one way. We are kind of level 5 now.
We are level 5, right? Yeah,
we are level 5. I get a sense that we are already stumbling on epic skill kind of things. And I know Roger as a dungeon master who can go bigger and bigger, you know?
Yeah, I know. So, I also heard the stories, and Roger will put more nasty stuff in our way in the months to come, or in the years to come. I think this was just a small taste of what we can expect for the rest of the adventures.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think that we can grow and grow and grow and grow in this adventure, and the scope will change every time.
Yeah. I don't think that Cave of Goblins will come near us anytime soon.
Yeah, although Goblin Caverns are always cool.
They're always cool, but I think they will be steroided goblins with big arm muscles and level 9 sorcerers, each of the goblins.
Oh, yeah.
Knowing Roger, yeah.
Well, yeah.
I mean, Roger tasted first blood, so with one of our character deaths, so I think he will be out for another one of us.
He's growing pointy teeth now. So.
Yeah. The question is, which one of us will he kill next?
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo, Quintus. Okay.
No. I already died too many times in this group's adventure, so it's another person's turn. Sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay, then let's dive into the main topic of the evening, shall we?
Okay. Let's do it.
What is the most epic location one of your characters has ever visited, and why, possibly? So yeah, let's first dive into the first answers, and when you think it's appropriate for your answer to pop up, because I think you prepared something, just introduce it like nothing ever happened, you know?
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah. So the first 2 answers. Guy says Goblin Rave.
A Goblin Rave.
And Andrew says Vegas, baby. Vegas. So, yeah. There you have
Awesome.
it. Yeah.
Well, if all questions are this fast, I can go to sleep very soon.
Well, there have been a lot of answers from the internet, but for some reason, when you talk about locations, even though some are pretty epic, the answers seem to be shorter than you would expect. I think I saw. Yeah, well, I can't talk about the things that are coming, but and these are very short because there is no end why here. Although I can. A Goblin Grave as a location is something pretty special, I think. Right?
Yeah, the Goblin Grave is very, and I really would have loved some context on this one.
Well, were these goblins having a rave.
Yeah, having a rave. Okay.
And then the other one is Vegas Baby, which is, I think, is an interesting thing. I'll come back to that later because we have another real life thing happening in one of the next answers. Okay. But I thought these two were, I always start with the kind of funny ones. Goblin Grave is pretty funny.
Yeah, absolutely. I just picture the whole Zion only then with goblins. So the Zion party.
That's kind of the worst scene in that whole movie.
Machines.
Man, when I saw that scene, I thought, wait, I have seen The Matrix 1. I thought this was a fantastic movie. What am I watching now?
Yep.
I have no idea. And 7 minutes later or something, I don't know. It seemed to go on and on. I was still thinking,
The scene takes too long, so it would have been better if it was a Goblin Grave.
Yeah, I think so as well. That would have been really disturbing as well, but who knows? Funny answers, and then Vegas Baby. Yeah, okay, I'll get to the.
Let's get back to Vegas Baby in a bit.
Yeah. So Michael says Wessex, England, in the year 688. So I haven't Googled this, but do you know what happened in the year 688 in Wessex, England?
I have no clue. Wessex.
But I think Ashley does.
Yeah, Ashley. What happened in Wessex?
Ashley does know what happened in 688 in Wessex, England.
600 or 1688?
688. Oh, are you Googling?
Yeah, I'm Googling right now.
So it's a bit more specific than Vegas Baby. And then we have, in the same line, we have Celestia, which I think if your true first name is Celestia, that's pretty cool. Who says, probably not epic, but in a character's backstory, who is not from Earth, she traveled to Kaijo, Earth, and delivered a medal to Japan's track and field hero.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so, and that is what I wanted to talk, an abdication of a king? Probably, but there were a lot of abdications of kings, right, Ashley? So, let's discuss real world things. I think I talked about this with Michel for a short while when we were discussing the kind of suspense of disbelief, where you have the wizard at the end of the Merlin cartoon having on a rubber swimming band and modern swimming trousers on. Or I've introduced keyboards into my campaign when these orcs from Acheron came to my world and everything. What do you think about this connection to modern day life in or real Earth, for that matter, in as part of possibly your medieval world?
Yeah, I actually try to avoid the real world stuff as much as possible during my campaigns. So no computers or cell phones or even railroad tracks with trains on them. I try to keep it as medieval as possible, so medieval fantasy as possible. Though we are in Morovia now at the moment with my party, and it's a bit more, it's a bit more Victorian England. It's a bit more of a Victorian England time frame, so it doesn't fit with the whole medieval fantasy theme as well as it should. You can see that as they see pictures in frames on what's it called, fireplaces, and
like actually photos.
Yeah, photos or the earlier version of photos. So the primitive versions of photos. I use them in my adventure, but I try to steer away from it as much as possible. But you, on the other hand, do tend to mix in some real world stuff now and again.
Well, I think
like the toilets in the other world.
Yeah. So, I almost forgot about those. Yeah, there were toilets there, modern day toilets, modern day elevators as well. Maybe even a bit futuristic. And I think we ended on a cliffhanger where you saw a big television screen pop on and seeing a face of a familiar person. So, yeah. Yeah, but then you have these two things. You have it's the real world part of your multiverse, so to say. Mm-hmm. So is Earth floating around in the prime material somewhere? And is it modern day real world or is it medieval real world? That can be a difference as well. Or are you introducing like modern day stuff into your world because it has relevance to the world that you're playing in? For example, do you have an idea of what the Forgotten Realms might look like in about 500 years? Or is it still static? Yeah.
No, but you and also Roger do play with time more than I do. I have a more straight out timeline. I don't hop forward or backwards in time in my campaigns. So it really doesn't have a place in my campaigns at the moment. It might in the future, but at the moment it doesn't have a place in my campaigns.
Yeah.
But you hop 10,000 years forward and 10,000 years backward on a regular basis. So,
that's strange as well. Okay, there are some things happening in chat. Ashley says, see if it was 886. That was when Alfred the Great became king. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but it wasn't that. But who knows? Maybe it's a typo. Maybe the adventure had something to do with that. And Ashley also says, I find the real world dull, but my players usually end up in a version of Discworld, like Frank the Guard.
I still have to read the Discworld.
Brilliant.
I know. I've heard so much about them, and I still haven't had any time for them. So
best books ever. Starting from, I kind of liked the Core of Magic. Mm-hmm. It's kind of purplish green, by the way. But then it was okay. Then the second one, The Ride Fantastic, was okay as well up till the end. And then I finally got the gist of it, how brilliant he writes his books. I think the sorcery I disliked a bit, but then came Mort or something. That was great again. So, and then from that on, it became consistently good. So, except for Erik, funny enough. There's one of his Discworld books is called Erik. Yeah. But then...
Eriks in fantasy are never fun. Yeah, you know that.
Well, and it is Faust with a line drawn through it, and then Erik replaces it. So you might get a hint of what it's about. But it was not funny enough for me. But it has nothing to do with Erik, in the name at least. So because you're a pretty funny guy in real life, right, Erik?
I'm not. I'm just pretending to be. Oh, Ashley says, Erik, knowing your humor now, go read Postal.
Going Postal, yeah, that's great.
Going Postal, okay.
Yeah. Esner says, you can always DM a story about an old, powerful town amidst several main rivers. The coastal ship come, however, their goods started to perish. To add insult to injury, the town's rulers made the ships dock for long periods of time. Something must be going on. Okay, it's talking about my hometown. Although I think it's partly talking about my hometown, but more fantastic maybe.
Are you screwing with your players again?
No. I'm always, not really. Although one of them is my wife now. So, the Dordrecht, the town that I came from, is really known for the fact that that all ships that came past must dock at its docks and deliver the goods first to this city, and then what was left could go on the river, and heavy toll had to be paid as well and stuff. So we were really good at getting money, and at this time we are not even a harbor city anymore, although we have got some canals. Yeah. So but the perishing goods is funny as well, I think. Or was there some more context that I'm missing there?
The perishing goods is the closer to Dordrecht, the rudder it becomes. So
of course. Man,
that's where that saying comes from.
No, not from perishing goods, but because of the taxation.
Yeah, but also in combination with the perishing goods.
Yeah. Hey, those canals are hard to navigate, man. I tried. I gave up. Well, you shouldn't do it in a car.
No.
Although you can find many a bike down there. Yeah.
We tried.
So you're not that much for introducing the modern day world into your campaigns. The reason I do it is because I try to think about what the start of my world is and what the end of my world is and what happens in between, and why shouldn't things progress through a technological path, so to say. And even though, especially my Ortor campaign is totally disconnected from any multiverse, is its own thing, and has its own kind of insane rules as to how stars work and stuff. You kind of have to think about if a society would grow there, would they at a certain point develop kind of modern things? But what I have done is I have considered what magic would have added to this. So, for example, I did a campaign called Progfest where they kind of got into a future cloud where they met some version of Normandy, like the beaches being stormed by troopers and stuff, and the defenders, so to say, had a kind of magic wands that would recharge really fast, and they shot with that, and instead of light bulbs going on electricity, they had continual light things that went from yellow to red and stuff. You have to consider magic as part of the modern world then, right? But a toilet is still a toilet.
I also, one time, I think, I don't know which podcast it was, but they were talking about how magic would influence and even obstruct the progress of technology, because if you can create light with your hands, or with a flick of your fingers, why would you even invent a light bulb, and why would you invent electricity to power that light bulb? That was a whole conversation. It was a very good conversation, because magic would influence a lot of these technological advances, because there is already a substitute for these technologies. So would that hold the technological progress?
Yeah, I think that it will always start to exist somewhere, but because you also get inspired at the same time. Because if you are someone who doesn't know magic but sees light sprouting out of a staff or something, you said, I want to do that, but how can I create this effect through other means, for example? Yeah, we're going really into this second part of the the main topic right now, but it's I think it's a very interesting topic as well. Maybe, well, if we haven't discussed enough, please tell us. Ashley says, that is what I love about the Netherlands. Road, path, canal. No fence. Fall in and complain to the council. Their response, is your bike wet? You may be on the wrong bit, my friend. Yes.
That's true. We in the Netherlands, we always depend on the self-preservation of humans. So we don't have a rule for everything, and we are not as careful with everyone and everything as in other countries is.
Yeah, but it's mainly because we don't sue everyone.
Nope.
And the other thing is that we are actually kind of more careful about how we develop our roads, because instead of long stretches of roads where you can drive 50 kilometers per hour, but you can easily also drive 100 kilometers per hour, we simply make them too short to actually get to that speed, and introduce bumps, bends and everything, just to break up this the thing. And the pedestrians have the law on their side, as do cyclists, compared to cars and everything. So there are a lot of things in place that make you quite careful of how you use your roads anyway. And then the other thing is that we don't really mind the weather, because if we can go out in the rain, then why live in the Netherlands, right? So it's okay to get wet and to sit at a terrace with 12 degrees and a hose of water every now and then.
Hey, we always complain about the weather, but complaining is part of what we do.
Yeah.
And still, we take it as it is.
I thought your roads were like that to compensate for a lack of hills, so you need to do something to look at and go up and down.
Yeah, we always go road spotting in our free time. We just go
that's a cool road.
That's a beautiful road, isn't that? And then we take out our binoculars and just watch roads all day.
All these planes are passing over us.
Yeah, I've got 12 road pictures in my living room. The A16, the A14, the A15. Well, I've got them all. I'm collecting all the A's, man.
Yeah. Well, actually, my road got redone in front of my house, and I'm very proud of it.
Yeah.
Because
we also have a famous town here. It's not called Beverly Hills, but it's called Beverly Roads, and all these kind of things.
There's the Joker again.
No,
see
we
your
really
joke, but
love
people come here to look at tulips. Come there to look at tulips grow. Yeah, what is it with tulips? I was really surprised by the Spider-Man 2 scenes,
Yeah, it wasn't actually filmed in the Netherlands, but...
Well, I think one of the scenes was, right?
No. One of the scenes was actually filmed in, I think it was Poland. You have to take a closer look at that scene, because they have a couple of Dutch actors, like Jeroen van Koningsbrugge, who was in the film. It's a very famous Dutch actor, which means jack shit in
but he actually talked Dutch in a
he actually spoke
way.
real Dutch, because I'm watching Blacklist right now, and that Dutch is, well, cringe-worthy. So they actually took a real Dutchman and made him speak real Dutch. But if you look closely at the village is all walled. You only see walls and you never see streets, so you only see buildings, and it blocks off the line of sight. And actually it was filmed, I think it was in Poland or Hungary or something like that. because they were already in place for the filming, and they just flew over a couple of Dutch guys and filmed the Dutch scene in
Yeah. And the Dutch accent at the strange Renaissance kind of fair thing, that was horrible again.
Yep, that was
And then the
horrible.
Field of Tulips, okay, it's the Field of Tulips, but there's no Field of Tulips anywhere near my house. Even though when you go to Naaldwijk and around there, you see a lot of fields full of tulips, and we are famous for it, but, you know. Add in a windmill and some clocks. Yeah. Are you proud of our heritage, Eric?
I don't know what our heritage is. If it's windmills and wooden shoes, no, I'm not proud of my heritage. No, we are. Our heritage is building dikes and fighting against the sea, and that's what I'm proud of. So we are. We are. Our ships are all over the world helping with big water projects, and yeah, that's what we should be proud of, and not windmills and wooden shoes and tulips and all those touristy things.
But I always think that it's so strange to see such things happening in films and series. Why not do a little research just to know how things actually look instead of taking the most strange things? I mean, they also go to Berlin, and you just see Berlin, like a modern-day city. They go to Budapest, they go to all kinds of cities all across the world, and I hope they reflect what those cities actually are. But when it comes to the Netherlands, you see tulips and clocks and everything. And it's just too strange.
That's a romantic thing that every American thinks that if they go to the Netherlands, they will see us living in windmills and wearing wooden shoes. That's the stereotypical Dutch. And well, if they want to view us that way, then let's view them.
Yeah.
Let us be viewed that way.
They only pretend to have been in the Netherlands for the tax benefits. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, funny side note there. We still haven't gotten to the next slide though.
Yeah, let's go to the next slide because this even will take...
We're running early, so we can talk however we want. You know. Slide number 3. James says the Black and White Spiders of Agner, City of Mages, Homebrew campaign, and Matthew says 666th layer of the abyss. My character almost got decapitated by a Balor. So now we're going more into the epic stuff. You know, the single sentence thing or the 2-sentence things that make a statement about how cool this place is. That's what I try to combine here.
But already I have such a great visual in my mind if someone says the Black and White Spires of Agner, the City of Mages. That sounds so amazing. It sounds like a city full of epic magic and floating towers and light versus dark and good versus evil. It's that single sentence can spew forth a whole
sense
campaign.
Yeah, I agree.
I already have 100 ideas in my head just from that single sentence. That's awesome, man. It sounds
when I read
cool.
these kind of sentences, I always get a sense for: have I ever inspired such a city in my campaign, or does it ever feel that when you reach a certain something funny is happening?
Yeah, that's one of my group.
Yeah. Do I ever inspire such cities in my campaign? I have no idea if that happens, but you know, it's kind of nice to see these sentences that spur such activity in your mind. Yeah. Ashley says, remember the Americans have Pennsylvania Dutch that are mostly Amish, hence the old world ways thinking.
Yeah, I actually heard the Pennsylvania Dutch are actually Germans, right? So from German descent, not even Dutch at all.
Yeah, there you go.
But that's another topic for another show.
So and then the 666th layer of the abyss. I like the abyss with its infinite number of layers, but that's why 666th layer stands out, I think. Yeah,
I do want to take my characters to the abyss at one point in their adventure. They're currently at a point that they are going, well, they can go anywhere at this moment. They are trying to confront Strahd, and after that, the whole world is open for them. So I've got this whole range of books behind me for them to choose from. And I already have an idea where I want to put them. And hell is one possible spot that they can go to.
But hell's the 9 hells, right?
Yeah, the 9 hells or the abyss or whatever, wherever I want to take them.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like the abyss as well, especially the option to add your own stuff there, which sounds silly because, but it's like the 9 hells is the 9 hells. There aren't more layers to that plane of existence.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in the abyss, you can just add your own layer, and it can become lore at a certain point. I think there's even this Planescape website where you see all the layers that are listed in the Planescape campaign, and then you see all those that players have added to them and described in a short script, so to say. And the first layer of the abyss is a layer of portals to all these other layers, of which most of them are closed.
Wow, that sounds so very cool. Yeah, I still need to read up on the abyss and the 9 hells, but I think I might take my players there in the near future.
Yeah. So run descent, says Ashley. Yeah, descent into a furnace. That's a cool thing. And then Esna says, what is a pro level choose your own adventure? Throw a dice to see what book you will play next. Yeah,
that sounds like a good idea.
So give us a close up, roll your die, and let's see what you will be doing next.
And I think I have to roll a D23 in the meantime. So because I already have 23 D&D books and 3 more coming this year. So
yeah. The Gluttonizer is saying Ankh-Morpork. Yeah, that's Epic City. Always an Epic City. Especially because it burns down a lot. Except it doesn't do it that much in the books anymore, because they are progressing. And Ashley says, RPing 2 demons having an argument over how best to prod buttocks with pitchforks. That's always... yeah.
That's always awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Abyss, that's absolutely a place I still want to visit.
Yeah.
I really do love the whole Forgotten Realms, campaign setting.
I'm going to ask you a question, which is pretty simple. It's one word containing 3 letters, and I have no positive or negative thoughts about this, but why?
Why? Yeah, it's very easy to navigate in that in the Forgotten Realms because it's familiar fantasy for me. So it's very close to Tolkien. It's very close to the Warhammer realms. So if I want to improvise stuff, I can do that on the top of my head. If I do what's the campaign called again? If I do, damn it! What's that campaign called again?
Theros, Ravnica.
Ravnica, yeah. If I do Ravnica, I really have a hard time improvising stuff because I totally know nothing about that world. And if you play in the Forgotten Realms, it's very easy to improvise stuff that I don't even know about because it's all very closely linked together with all the other standard fantasy stuff. And that's what makes it fun for me to DM, because it's easier for me to DM in this world because there's a lot of stuff over there that I can pick from, and there's a lot of stuff in here which I can pick from as well.
Yeah. I think it's actually pretty good as a standard campaign, and I always... I've liked the Baldur's Gate and the Icewind Dale series and everything, and the books that have been there. So I can, and recently I finally started doing the Lost Mine of Vandelver. So
and how does that befall you? How does it
agree with me?
Agree with me. Damn it, my English is very bad at the moment. I got to the first goblin encounter finally.
And that's where we kind of left off, but because I did a kind of prelude to it and everything, and I introduced 2 new players after I already introduced it to two new players. So I had 2 kind of session 1 things happening there, and I've played 4 sessions. And I like role playing it from that perspective, but actually as a module, I just love it. I really think it's a cool module. The only thing, and I think I already typed this in WhatsApp to you, is that I really don't like the last map of the Wave Echo Caverns. And I'm going to redo that one, maybe on stream, because I want to make a far better map out of that one. So if anybody is interested in chat, just let me know. That's the only strange thing, is that I actually think that the first cavern that the party encounters is done really well. It's a simple cavern, but at the same time it's logical, and it feels like a real thing.
Yeah.
And then you get to the Wave Echo Caverns, and you're just like, what is this map?
It doesn't feel natural, because in the Wave Echo Cave they tried to introduce a lot of different types of D&D monsters, and some things are really out of place. If anyone wants to play this module and doesn't want any spoilers, well, from now on, spoilers. But there's I think there was a beholder or a spectator in the cavern who was there for no reason at all. You have the bugbears, which are actually the minions of the bad guy, but you also have other types of creatures. There are a little different types of creatures that have no place in that cavern, I think. And also the rooms aren't very logical laid out no. So I didn't like the map well.
And I think that the other thing is that they described this thing as a booming cavern because of the heat. Oh man, my English as well this evening. The hot spring is what's creating those booming effects through the cavern. But then in this map, it's in the uppermost right corner, you see a bit of water, and that's it. And I know you don't have to make everything around the thing that the cavern is named after, but you could give it a more prominent place. That's one thing. And then the whole thing that the place is famous for is like 3 pixels on the whole map.
Yep. And that's the way it's in the northern part of the map.
Yeah. So that's what I going to do differently. I'm going to make a logical cavern out of it with a logical mine part and logical temple and stuff. Yeah.
I do understand the design of the cave, because there are 2 possible points where you go into the Underdark from that point on. There's I think on the left side, so the western part of the map, you have a tunnel that leads to nowhere. And the Wave Echo Cave is actually, I think it was, I saw a designer interview a couple of months ago, which I think he spoke about the Wave Echo Cave actually connecting with the Dark Lake inside the Underdark, or rivers going to the Dark Lake.
Yeah. That's an idea you could have about that. But, well, I'm going to do that on stream, but I don't know when, because I won't make any promises anymore, because I still haven't done Bow and Sass. But, yeah. But I love it. Also, the things that happen there, I also love, but just not the layout and everything. I think that in the Red Hideout, it's not it's the Nothic. By the way.
Yeah, it's Nothic in the Red Hideout, right next to the Necromancer Cave, which spawned my campaign's villain. But that's a story for another time.
Yeah, so Ashley says, Gothanizer says, funniest RP moment for me is in Call of Cthulhu when one of the investigators improvised a taxidermist badger as a weapon to take out a mobster.
Yep, I still know that. I still remember that part. I also remember the part where we kind of screwed with Gothanizer and screwed up his campaign.
You did the Call
well,
of Cthulhu campaign then? with
Yeah,
him?
we did a small Call of Cthulhu campaign. Yep, Lepel, there it is. He said you have to pronounce a word backwards to summon, I don't know what it was again, I think to summon a demon. And, well, the word that we came up with was lepel. So spoon in Dutch, which spelled backwards is lepel.
Yeah.
So we were just chanting lepel, lepel, lepel with 4 guys at the table. And the dungeon master died at the spot with annoyance. So sorry for that. Brother Nizer, sorry.
Those moments, yeah. And Asher says you can't know wizards of some of the...
I still will not forgive you.
Yeah, true. You can't know wizards for some of the modules adventures. Ran a Candlekeep for my Pharaoh's players and they didn't even notice and gave me some breathing room to write more of the rest of the campaign. You cannot know. You can't knock wizards. Is the red hat a chance to be able to a troll? Yep, the Dark Lake Tunnel. I can also lead to Hill and Hill Giants meet for the Storm King. It says both at the end of the adventure. Yeah, so yeah, I like those connections, and that's pretty cool to use those cliffhangers or those hooks to our
because
adventures.
in the adventure that you're playing right now, there's also I think these guys are wearing dragon masks, and they tie into the Dragon Queen campaign setting, and that was with the green dragon.
The acolytes there.
Yeah, with the acolytes there.
Yeah. We still have to get to that. Also, that was quite a bad map as well, by the way. But that's my thing, you know.
And we're still at our 3rd slide.
Yeah, but I don't have an infinite number of slides this time, so it's okay.
Oh wow, okay. It's not a slideshow of Jasper once again.
No. Dominic says a castle at the beginning of time because a madman was trying to rewrite history so he could rule the world, and we didn't like that idea. And Scotland says a supermax prison in a section in the Shadowfell that one can only get to via losing yourself in the Feywild.
Wow, that sounds like an awesome campaign idea.
Yeah, so...
losing yourself in the Feywild.
Yeah, so I think you can become wild in the Feywild.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what's needed. And I really like that Okay, so I have a kind of love-hate relationship with the Shadowfell and the Feywild because I'm a 2nd edition Dungeon Master and I think they are strange. But at the same time, I am using the Feywild and the Shadowfell and I drew maps for them for a specific region in my campaign which reflected the nastiness of the Shadowfell or the bleakness of the Shadowfell, so to say, and the exorbitant growth in the Feywild. Which kind of modified the land across that, and I did a lot of things with how these 2 planes could influence the prime material because of things happening in the same spots in both realms. So I like that part of it, and but I haven't. So I have let them influence the prime material, but this example is of something where you can really switch from the Feywild into the Shadowfell because of a thing that can happen in the Feywild. And that's a pretty difficult prison to to enter then.
Yeah, but it sounds very awesome. But the Feywild and Shadowfell were, I think, really fleshed out in 4th edition, right? And I'm not pulling your leg here.
I don't actually know that for sure. I think there was mention of them in 3.5 as well. Yeah. But I skipped over them there.
Yeah, because in 4th edition they really took their time to flesh out the Feywild and both the Feywild and the Shadowfell.
Yeah, could be.
And they adopted most of that lore in 5th edition, though they changed it up a bit and made it work more in the 3.5 type of lore.
Yeah. Yeah, so I didn't actually read that much 4th edition lore. I can imagine that that has its own cool things. And I mean, if you read the Dungeon Master Guide, it doesn't really say that much about the Feywild or the Shadowfell anyway.
No.
And of course, you have the modules that happen there, and there's some extra lore with the Raven Queen and stuff like that, and a Critical Role kind of made the Feywild a bit more fleshed out, only in a Matthew Mercer kind of way. And then you have the new adventure in the Feywild as well, which which sounds cool.
The Wild Beyond the Witchlight, I think, was the next module for D&D.
Yeah.
I already ordered it, so it will fall in. It will
arrive soonish.
By doorstep soonish.
Yeah. So I must say that I am starting to collect a lot more books than I was always intended in 5th edition, because I kind of like them, and I finally got Ravenloft. Or Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft, and I actually think that's the best campaign book that I've read so far. So
a very good campaign book. It's really goes deep into the material of the whole Ravenloft setting, and
without fleshing it out too much. And that's what I really like about it. It gives this great hooks, these great domains where you really get the feel of. Just like with those sentences that we saw on the second slide, one line describing exactly what you are going to expect from that domain that you're going to enter, and it does that really, really well. And it really reminds. That's why I said in WhatsApp, if these guys would write Planescape, I would, it would be okay for me.
There are a couple of settings that we are all waiting on, and that's Planescape is absolutely one of them.
Soth the coolest.
Lord Soth. Lord Soth. Yeah, Lord Soth is from is from the Shadowfell, right? Gluttonizer.
Is Lord Soth, is that the Effect Knight?
Death Knight. It's a Death Knight.
The Death Knight. Yeah.
2 glowing eyes, round helmet.
Yeah. And I kind of skipped through that book, but I lost. Most books I skip. I read.
Oh, Dragonlance.
Oh yeah, Dragonlance. Yeah.
And later Ravenloft. Yeah.
I read about 20 pages out of every book, and I did more than 20 pages in this book, so that's a good sign, I think. Yeah.
The only books I read cover to cover were. Curse of Strahd, the Dungeon Master's Guide, the Monster Manual, and the Player's Handbook, and the rest. I'm just picking out stuff that I'd like to mess around with players, and that's about it.
Ashley says, "Waiting for Feywild. I love making like a Lewis Carroll wander about." Yeah. But that's that kind of setting, amazingly fantastic. Yeah.
And Dominic's answer, like a castle at the beginning of time because of a madman trying to. That sounds like something you could have come up with. Because you always play around with time, right, in your campaigns.
Yeah, I don't know why I do that specifically. I decided for, especially in my Urtor campaign, that time is kind of linear. Although strange things happen, as you might have experienced. To limit myself somewhat in what can happen, but that gave me whole other scope of things that I could imagine. So, that didn't really work as a thing to... push time travel aside. And in my other campaign, there's this kind of time council, which has 3 members in it that all do specific time-related things. And I use them as kind of Deus Ex Machina kind of things to deter my characters from making bad choices or resurrecting them before they die and stuff. And I love those characters. I simply love those characters so much that you might see one of them passing you by at some point and never meeting them again, or having them really get involved in your story. But all three of them are kind of untrustworthy. So that's yeah. And
Awesome.
but I like time travel. I like dimension skipping. I like all those kinds of things a lot. But it can be difficult for players to keep track of what's happening. It's
I really don't have the skill set to mess around with time, so I keep my adventures as linear as possible.
Yeah. Well, the thing I'm most proud of is the one where they had a lot of bad luck along the way, and they ended on a traumatic event that was just too much for them. And then I got one of this guy called Red, who like red, like the color, you know. And he's this guy who has his own future self on a chain, and the chain represents the time between him and the other guy. But the other guy who's from the future is insane, and the other one is kind of a psychopath, and the psychopath has the insane one on a chain, and he does in the end, he does it all for himself, you know, putting people in other places in time. So what he did is because they were so traumatized, he reset the time from the moments that they met. And they thought this was really great because they suddenly knew what was going to happen, and went in the back way where they first had to go through a lot of sewers and stuff, you know, to get to the bad guy immediately. That was really great, but what they didn't realize was that they were talking about their past experiences and things that were going to happen to the main bad guy. And suddenly, when they were just walking down the streets, they saw this whole neighborhood explode, which didn't happen in their original timeline. And then they started second guessing, what did we do differently that would have made this thing happen? And that's such a big payoff when you have those things happen in your campaign. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Gluttonizer asks, so did you ever run the Apocalypse Stone?
No, but I have it actually. The second edition module. I might even have it here. No, I don't have it here. But I have that one. But I haven't played it. No. And I got it in some bundle from some guy who got rid of some Dungeons and Dragons stuff, and that's how it came into my possession. But I did read through it somewhat. But the funny thing is that when it's written down like that, I suddenly lose interest. I don't know why that is. So what's your coolest location that you've ever visited?
I don't have any cool locations. My dungeon masters always bring me to these boring kinds of locations. So
okay, next question.
Now, my coolest location, and we discussed this already, is we went to a broken version of our world, which was, I think, 20,000 years in the future or 20,000 years in the past, which I still don't know because I can't keep track of time. That's my whole problem. I really love your campaigns, man, but I really, half of the time, I don't know what's going on. I'm just tagging along with the group, and they figure out all the stuff. Just point me in a direction to hit stuff, and I will do that. That's what my character is good at. But I went to... I actually got separated from the group for a while, and my character was thrown off a tower, and the rest of the group thought I died, and I actually played a couple of one-on-one sessions with Jasper here. And he took me to a sky pirate, so a pirate with an airship, which was traveling through the void. The pirate was a halfling pirate named Captain Crush or Captain Crunch. Captain Crush, right?
Crush, yeah.
Captain Crush, yeah. Captain Crush, and he was a very lively individual, so I really connected with that character. And the most awesome thing, the most awesome encounter I ever had was being fired, I think, from a cannon with a chain around my waist inside a globe or a sphere of water floating in the middle of the void to hunt for a whale, I think.
Yeah, you got shot from his boat, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, from his boat, and I went whale hunting.
Yeah.
So they used me as a not a human but a dwarf torpedo, and that was one of the most awesome and epic things I've ever done in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
And also one of the most memorable things I've ever done. I think the location inside the volcano that we near Plugfest where we went, and we fought an ice giant. And that was such an amazing fight. I really loved the whole fight of the ice giant, and I remember landing the killing blow and riding the fallen corpse of the ice giant down the slopes of the volcano towards, I think, the center of the volcano.
The inside part of the volcano. Yeah, that was so cool.
That was so epic.
Yeah.
So yeah, those were my two most, and of course your whole worlds, because you always develop the most fantastic worlds. Known to men, but these are the two things that really got stuck with me. So I really love these encounters.
Well, thank you. I think those were very memorable things for me as well. So yeah, so I really like those answers that you are giving me. As I said in slide 2. I always feel, as a dungeon master, I think it's really hard. I don't know if you have the same problem, Erik, but to really know how your players feel at the moment that you're describing a certain situation. If the careful thought that you have put into your campaign really translates into an emotion for your players, where they think, wow, this is cool, you know? Because most of the time in the action, I don't get that sense that much from you, because you're not only you but all players almost, because you're always engaged with the situation and trying to solve the thing that's happening in a way. And I like this kind of feedback for that, to know, you really experience that as a really big thing.
I do always, and we did it with when we did the Breach campaign. We always did our walk home. I went to my car because I live in another town, and you were always walking home from Auger, and we always did a kind of after talk after, and I really loved.
That's where the stuff happens. Yeah.
I really loved discussing the experience afterwards, after the adventure, because what you say, you're very busy. Once you are in an encounter, you're always very busy with how are we going to solve this crap that the DM put us in once again, and afterwards you actually retell the stories, but at the moment you are living the story, and that's sometimes very stressful, or sometimes very frustrating. But afterwards, you can look back at it and say, "Wow, this was such an amazing encounter with such cool mechanics." I always love mechanics in encounters. I always love when the floor opens, or tentacles spring out of nowhere, or
indeed. Yeah. So Gattenhuizer says something interesting. I do think that is an insecurity that you overcome with experience over time. Yeah, well, I have a lot of discussion about this with Roger, who tells me, stop being stupid, Jasper, because you're doing great. But I guess I've got some kind of insecurity about this for some reason. I don't know exactly why. I'm trying to find out what it is. But I've been being a dungeon master for 28 years, and I've been doing it mostly on a weekly basis for a very long time, and I'm still anxious before every session, and trying to gauge what my characters think of the thing that I've put before them. So it's still nice for me to get feedback, to get some resolve and stuff, and as Erik is saying, it happens outside of sessions mostly, and But the other thing is, Roger always says, if you were a bad dungeon master, you wouldn't get back to your table, and people have been coming back for 28 years, so must be doing something right?
Yeah, I think I've been playing Dungeons & Dragons with you for 10 years now.
Yeah.
Around about 10 years. And 8 of them you were my dungeon master, so still a lot of fun playing with you, man.
Yeah, thanks.
I don't have that anxiousness just before an adventure, only when I start a new adventure. So when I don't know the source material as well as I would like, and I have over-prepared, 100 pages of the adventure, and I'm still worrying about that one page that I haven't prepared yet, so... Yeah, I know, Rob. My campaigns are the worst.
I still have to experience you as a dungeon master, Erik. I do want to do that at a certain time. Yeah.
Maybe I'll do a one-shot one time.
Would be great.
Yeah. And Rob has played in a couple of my campaigns, but I was still inexperienced when Rob was in it. I actually improved when Rob was not in it, so it got nicer.
What happened?
I finally got rid of that one player I didn't want to play with, so...
Anyway.
I'll never run a 40k campaign again. No. The 40k campaign was the worst.
Give yourself some credit, though.
No. It was really the worst campaign ever, so I totally agree with you on that, Rob.
Okay, let's go to the next one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Andrew says, Ducaton, an entrepreneurially renowned university in Dis, set inside a dome preventing the sulfur from leaking in. It also blocked extra planar travel for the most part. And Matt says, my blacksmith traveled to the plains looking for his daughter's soul. Being put in a maze by the Lady of Pain and Sigil was probably the craziest location he'd been. So these are... kind of on the same level as the last ones, I think, but describing different kinds of situations anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It's what you remember a place by. I like the mazes from the Lady of Pain. They are pretty cool. They are very hard to get out of. But when she dislikes you and she mazes you.
Mm-hmm.
That's her thing. Yeah. And I think that the university set in this is pretty cool as well. Second layer or second or third layer, I always forget. Actually, it's the iron one. Everything is hot and stuff. From Bator or the Nine Hells, however you want to call them, ruled by Dispater. And great setting.
I'm still not very into the whole. I still haven't read up on all my the hells and the abyss, and I still have to dive into that stuff. I'll do that as soon as I drag my players down to hell. But
then it's pretty handy to know what happens when you go to Avernus and stuff. Yeah.
Well, my players at the moment don't have a clue what the Forgotten Realms are all about, so I can improvise a lot of stuff, and they won't even know what is happening.
None of them played any Baldur's Gate game, for example? Or?
Nope, none of. I think maybe Renee did a bit, but I always tell my players this is based on the Forgotten Realms, but it's my version of the Forgotten Realms. So if you look anything up, it will be totally different from how I play it. That's my excuse to screw everything up and not follow the rules.
Yeah. So about these answers, do you have anything to add? Because they're kind of in the same line as the last ones.
Well, I really love the whole university stuff. I always wanted to play a Harry Potter
campaign.
I always wanted to play a Harry Potter campaign or something in a university or a school, and hell sounds like an awesome place to have a university into. Though I do not know what you would study in hell.
I've been thinking about Harry Potter campaign as well in some way. Not exactly Harry Potter, but it's not that different from other stories you are trying to tell, in a way.
No. I do think the new Strixhaven campaign is a Harry Potter style campaign, which is coming out later this year.
Oh yeah, that's kind of a school thing, right?
And what I heard about it is that it's a campaign setting, but it also has an 8-level campaign, and in which each level you go to 1 year of school, and you go through 1 year of school, and you actually do stuff like going to the ball and going to classes and confronting your nemesis and creating your nemesis. Yeah, it sounds very awesome. So
I read something about this on Twitter, I think, where they were angry that a Dungeons and Dragons module would include such things, which is, from my view, totally bullshit, because finally some social anxiety and encounters that should not be solved by using any magic. Yeah, go. I really like that idea. And if they do it in a great way, I truly want to draw experience from such new content, because otherwise it's all the same, you know? It's always about combat.
And my wife is a real Potterhead, and I would really love to run a campaign where she and a couple of my other players go through school. Go through the Hogwarts experience. So that would be fun.
Yeah. Did you see the Laura Bailey one shot?
No, I haven't seen it. I have seen the promos, but I haven't seen the one shot.
Oh, did your wife see it?
No. She doesn't look at streams. She only watches us.
Well, it's actually a pretty cool one, especially when you like 80s movies.
Okay.
Combined with a Harry Potter style. Yeah. Really recommend that one to her.
Yeah, I will be looking into it. Maybe I'll watch it tomorrow when I'm working, and then I'll have it on the background.
Gothanizer says, you're streaming Baldur's Gate 3 when it comes out? No, I will not be streaming. I will not be streaming it.
No, maybe Michel will. Michel has a different show, and he streams video games every now and again. So I think he might be streaming Baldur's Gate, but I will certainly be playing it. I don't know if I will be streaming it.
I will certainly be playing it, but why I'm saying such hard no, maybe Michel will be doing it, and that would be great. But why I'm giving you a hard no is because these are the games that I'm not looking at any spoilers anymore after the first introduction couple of weeks, and I really want to immerse, probably with a good friend, who is in chat as well. Really want to immerse myself in that campaign. Yeah.
Gothanizer says, I'll be making a character called Addictus Pornly. Okay.
Now you've said it on stream. But it's kind of the biggest diggers,
biggest diggers.
Life of Brian, Incontinentia Buttocks kind of thing, which is cool. First chat from viewer. Never mind. Sometimes. Let's see what I can do about this.
But yeah, maybe I will be playing. I will certainly be playing Baldur's Gate, but I don't think I will be streaming it. We can look at Michel and see if he can stream a couple of sessions. But it's a very big game, so you will be streaming it for years to come, for months to come, I think.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next answer. We're getting there. Well, Amanda says, my rogue was eaten by crocodiles, then woke up inside Sebek's belly. She cut her way out and then snuck her way back through the afterlife, through Ma'at's temple, and demanded that Anubis ferry her back to the land of the living. He complied because she was proof that someone was using the crocodile god to deny souls an afterlife. Had she not managed to cut herself out, her soul would have been completely digested and destroyed forever.
Whoa, that sounds definitive.
That sounds that as well. Yeah. So what's the location here? The Crocodile Belly, the journey. I don't really care. It's a great story. And it reminds me of kind of Captain Hook kind of thing, like the clock ticking in the belly of the crocodile, and all this kind of lore where big animals have insights that lead to other places, and
Yeah, I really love this whole crocodile thing. I read up on a crocodile encounter a couple of times. There's a crocodile demon in one of the in the creature codex, which I was really wanted to use well, in the future. And it's also a demon god crocodile-like creature. But the thing I want to know is, okay, your character was eaten by crocodiles, so multiple. So her character was devoured by multiple crocodiles, so her body is in pieces. After she left the afterlife,
so she was dead.
Yeah. In what form did she do that? Did her spirit leave the afterlife without a body, or?
Yeah. I have no idea. But if she would have stayed in Sebek's belly, then she would have been devoured and her soul would have been lost.
Yeah.
So she wasn't kind of... she wasn't dead then, but was already in the realm of the afterlife. Does that track?
No,
I don't know.
Your character was eaten by crocodiles and then ended up inside Sebek's belly. And I think Sebek is one of the crocodile gods, so maybe she was transferred there through the crocodile. But, well, whatever. It sounds very amazing.
I always like this. I once played a paladin who was called Holiness Among Us, which there you go with your Dictus name, and but the term holiness stemmed from his name because he was one of the first holy. Well, anyway, I did. We finished that campaign, and then Roger and me played a different campaign, or did a kind of one shot with him because I couldn't. I still liked that character very much, and. He accidentally went into the dark world. He had the light in the dark world next to the normal world, kind of in his pajamas with a wooden sword. And then he had to get out of there as a paladin, we were surrounded by dark entities, demons that could come there and stuff. I really like those kind of adventures where you just are on your own in an environment that's pretty hostile towards you. It wasn't a wooden sword; it was a normal sword with a light spell cast on it. Now I remember. So I was a beacon of light as a paladin in this dark world, and I really like those kind of settings. I came upon another guy, Peter, who I made my pupil after a while, and he got a big role in the second adventure that he did, yeah. Those tracks across dark fields, hellscapes, afterlife kind of realms, and having to find your way back, confronting entities that are far more powerful, and you have to convince them that you should be returned to where you came from. I really love those kind of adventures. And that's I think that's also why that might be one of my favorite kind of locations. It's not actually maybe it's not a location. Maybe it's kind of environment that you come to be in and you have to get out of. Now I'm going into my locations.
What is your favorite location, Jasper?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this, but I think I've chosen two locations where something happened that I was that I hadn't expected to happen. The first one is when we went into the realm of time in the Rocher's campaign called Avum. And this was this gray spiraling world where there were these cities at cataclysmatic events on this spiral. And the way he described this was such otherworldly that that is really. I held my breath for a while when he was telling me about this location, and then finally I was convinced that he would end his sentence, but and then a car passes by or something. That never happened. But the feel when we first came to that place, that really stuck to me. That really was something new, something different, and that was great. It's one of the most epic experiences in the location. And after that, we met a Pyron, which was this giant entity that preserved time and stuff, and we couldn't even get a dent into his toe because he was so big. And all these things happened there. We met the council, which had all these kind of philosophers' names attached to them: Anaximedes, Anaxinander, the three Anaxes.
Oh, the Anaxes.
Yeah. And so that was one. And then the other one was when we went to Hell in his campaign. And you have to imagine that his world was a flat world with water dropping down from the sides, I guess. I don't remember, actually. I think that that the edges were like water dripping down. And there was the light in the dark world. And then there was the heavens and the hells. And we finally went to the hells. And when we got there, we were in space. And that took me by surprise as well. We saw these orbs floating around in the great vastness. And this orb was like a hell orb, which was inhabited by all these kinds of demons and stuff. But it totally changed the perspective in that moment of what kind of setting we were in. So that's the other location that there were these void creatures attacking us, and it was really strange and really scary because we didn't know if we would ever get back, even though we were kind of high level then.
Both locations from Roger's campaigns.
Yeah.
Roger is really a master of creating awesome.
Yeah. The other thing is, I have never played in any other campaign. So
you haven't ever played in any other campaigns?
No, only Roger's. Well, I did some online things, but those always ended before they became cool.
And even Werner?
No, I have never played in Werner's campaign. No.
Oh, wow, okay.
No,
I thought you guys always played in each other's campaigns during your childhood. And
no, Eternal DM here. Although I might have done a one shot, but then it didn't stick to me because of location or anything. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, man. You're always the internal DM, and well, at least now you're playing in a campaign again.
Love it.
How is that experience for you as an eternal DM? Does it unsettle you, or do you really enjoy it, or because you don't know where the story is going, you don't know what's happening, you don't have any control except for what your character does?
I actually started these campaigns with me thinking about what do I want out of these adventures, and that's to be taken by surprise. And that's why I don't make too many deep dives in about what I think might be happening, and at the same time let the world wash over me as it comes to me. And that's why I have two characters that are kind of naive in a certain sense, because they don't have the expectation that the world will react to them in a certain way. I think that when I played my earlier characters in Roger's campaign, first of all, I played a haughty paladin, which was fun, but he got corrected in a way as well, because his growth was that he learned that the world didn't revolve around him, so to say, and that he had to protect others. But when I started to play Amfortas, my ranger, who was also a wolf, which is a protector of the guardians of life in this case, the guardian of life, and he was also a king or a crown prince from a certain country with a dad who didn't much like him, and he was also the king of animals, and he had a wolf and stuff, and he had a raven which he could talk with. So there was all these things happening, but he was always angry. And I think that partly came because Jasper, myself, didn't have enough control over the story, I have talked about this with Rocher, and that make me kind of an anarchist in the story as well. But that also came into fruition in a great way, where I, as Jasper, had to let go of some idea of what I thought campaign should be like, which is a little bit more freedom than Rocher gave us during that adventure. So I have to, and this isn't the case with Bowens. Both Bowens, they are just they are reacting. They are thinking as well, but they are mostly reacting. And me as Jasper am really just enjoying what Roger is putting in front of us. Yeah. As we grow as a person, so do our characters, right? Or the other way around.
Well, what really took me by surprise in this adventure is that, and it's was never pronounced out loud, but Thomas took on a leadership role at one time, and that's something I never do in my in my D&D games. I always stick to the background and try to avoid as many decisions as possible. Let other people make the decisions and point me in the direction in which I can kill creatures. And actually, Thomas took the lead on some of the decisions a couple of times, even doing the whole sneaky stuff in the warehouse and taking point on many of the on the quests that we took, and
it suits you.
Yeah, but it doesn't really suit me. That's the whole thing. I really get. That's the only thing I get anxious about is making these decisions that could affect the whole party.
Sorry, chat is making a great comment.
Yeah.
And see where it got him. Too soon?
But that's what I wanted to say. Luckily, Thomas got killed now, so I don't have to make any decisions anymore.
Well, it's interesting because I think that I wanted to be kind of the leader as with my character, but it really wasn't my part in the adventuring party, and there were other people who were more logically more of a logical choice to become the leader. But that's why I always revolted somewhat, because I couldn't cope with that. As I think Jasper as well. Yeah.
Because you wanted to make the decisions, but now's your time.
Well, I think that as on Forthouse, I was revolting against how people thought of the world and what they and they were, doing to it, and how they went with the flow, so to say, and never really considered going another route. And as Jasper, I think I was learning at that stage in my life how to have more than one role, not being a leader, just being a listener, just doing something from the side. And I know that I've been, as a teenager, I've been quite, how do you say, directive? Directive? I don't know. Bossy at times. And that kind of, when I was in my 20s, that kind of, I had some backlash because of that at certain points in my career, for example. And I think I learned from that in a way that I should not always just communicate my opinion at every possible turn.
Nope. That's always I'm always a very how do you call it? I'm always very tactical with everything I say and everything I do.
Yeah.
So I always think about things and about the consequences of my speech in real life. So I always approach everything in a very diplomatic manner, and with Thomas, I actually played more directly. So when Bowen made a remark to
Still remember this one.
to Sir Gunther, he confronted Bowen without any veils of veils or without any thinking about the consequences of his actions. He just confronted you because he felt like confronting you
was the right choice. No.
Because it was the right choice in his head. And in real life, Erik always thinks about the consequences and always tries to think of the most diplomatic way to say things.
Yeah. Yeah, I've learned about that about myself as well, to sometimes be less direct and stuff. But it's what you grow up with as well, you know. When we were at our table eating dinner, me and my brother and my father and mother would always have these strong discussions, which, well, we didn't shout, but we had big opinions and would direct them at each other. Then when the dinner was finished, it was okay again, and the discussion was over, and we all had voiced our strong opinions, so to say. That's how I grew up, and I still see that in my parents sometimes, that they are saying, why shouldn't I give my honest opinion about this subject that I really don't have anything to do with, so to say, and then say, well, maybe because you don't have anything to do with it, and that's the distinction that you have to learn about, I think. And they know they can make distinctions as well, don't they're old enough. But yeah.
But man, we are a long way from crocodiles and being eaten by crocodiles right now.
Yeah, that's true. Let's go to the next one. Rebecca says, I have a city made up of neutrally aligned undead known as Valkyr, pronounced Valkyrie without the I. It is in the Underdark, and the undead of the city have a symbiotic relationship with the Myconids, so those unable to speak because of decay can still communicate. It's run by a brass Dracolich that somehow retained his sapience when the necromancer tried to resurrect him. His horde are the undead of the city, and he protects them fiercely.
Wow, that sounds awesome. I really love the idea of neutral aligned undead, because you also see that in World of Warcraft, or in the Warcraft mythology, where the undead at one point in the time, and I don't know much about Warcraft, so I may be screwing this all up, but at one point in time the undead became their own species. And they decided their own fates and made their own communities. And I really love that idea that undead are not necessarily evil, or it's all undead are out there to kill everything on Earth. And
yeah, I think that it's a great example of, and I like the Myconids part of it as well, giving them spores to communicate with each other instead of using voices. We did in parallel projections. We did the undead city part as well with Michelle. We ended our campaign there. This was this society that was partly neutral, partly based on balancing the ghoulish monstrosities against the skeleton and zombie-like undead, you know, but there was this kind of peace and this intelligence conversations that you could have in this city. But you first had to learn their tongue, so to say, because otherwise you couldn't communicate with them because, they were undead and their jaws would just... So there's something like that in there as well. But I think this takes us a step further, really making a community that's really based on the symbiotic relationship, and that it's Dracolich that sees them as its treasure and so protects it. I love it. It's really well thought out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to screenshot this one, and I'm going to...
the show will be up on YouTube, right?
Yeah, that's true, but I want to make a note out of this. Oh, wait. Yeah, there it is. I'll screenshot.
Whoop, there it is.
Whoop, there it is. Yeah. I'll screenshot this one, and I'll put it in a future campaign somewhere.
Yeah, I love it. It's a really good answer, really well thought out, and... the funny thing is that it's so complete that I don't have anything more to say about it, because we've discussed a lot of things that had nothing to do with anything about answers that were shorter, so that when answers get longer, it gets complicated.
Yeah.
Does
Well, I
that make
really love
sense?
the idea of neutral undead. It's a very awesome thing to explore in the future.
Yeah, true. Let's go to the next
Awesome.
one. Rebecca, amazing.
Yeah. Thank you, Rebecca.
Jason says, once made a conjurer that got to the end game of the game. His reward was once a day he could safely teleport to wherever he was looking. There was no maximum distance to this teleport. Every night he would stare at the stars and try to port to no avail. In the final session, the group went to get him from his star watching to join him for drinks, and he was gone. Never heard from again. Starry,
Wow.
starry night.
It sounds very creepy. And this sounds very like a thing that would have come out of a Call of Cthulhu campaign.
Oh, you
Gazing up into the nothingness of space and getting lost in there.
Oh, I saw. That's funny that you're putting it like that, because I thought it was kind of beautiful, where it just finally vanished and met his end in the way he always wanted.
I think this is horrifying. This is just really the stuff of nightmares. For me.
That's so cool.
I
Totally
really
different opinion about this.
I really abhor the abyss.
Yeah, you do?
Yeah. I really have. I always watch science fiction movies, and I'm watching.
The
What's
Expanse?
the greatest? Yeah, The Expanse, season 5.
Claustrophobic,
and
right?
every time they go outside in space, I really get choked. I really get. How do you say it? Choked up. I can't breathe. Physically can't breathe when they're outside in space. But I also have the same thing with the depths of the ocean.
Wow, okay.
It really scares me. It's a primal fear inside me. That the vastness of space or the depths of the ocean. Those are the two things I fear. I think I fear the most.
That's so cool in a way, because I can totally imagine that when you watch The Expanse, you get that feeling, because they've done it so well.
Yeah, they've done it very well.
I'm watching season 5 right now as well.
Yeah.
Did you finish, or?
Me too. No. I'm
I haven't
halfway
finished.
now. So
Okay.
I'm,
Well, then,
episode 6,
okay.
I think. Yeah. But what I do think that the Expanse did better in earlier seasons was the space was silent, I think, in the first couple of seasons, and now every time they fire, you hear the guns roaring in space, and I don't like that aspect. I really love the
I didn't
creepiness.
notice.
Yeah, I really love the creepiness of the silence of space, the silence of the void.
I have to think about that one. I didn't notice the sound, I think. Oh, they're going. Yeah, well, let's talk about this in private when we've both finished season 5.
Yeah.
But it's. I always liked Battlestar Galactica, the renewed series, the most as a science fiction series. But this has taken it this is far better than Battlestar. Battlestar was cool, but this is far better than Battlestar ever was, I think.
Yeah, you mean the series with Katie Sackhoff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Those were my favorite science fiction series until The Expanse came out, and The Expanse is really my favorite science fiction series. They nailed it. Everything is right, because they don't focus on alien creatures. Well, you have alien life, but they don't focus on weird alien creatures and alien spaceships and the aliens are invading us. No, they're focusing on humanity is a couple of hundred years in the future, and how do we treat each other as humans? What kind of conflicts and what kind of they really delve into human nature, and I really love that aspect of the show.
Yeah, and I kind of did it as well in Battlestar, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the threat was a bit more mechanical, but even those mechanical beings try to be human in a way. Reflected human behavior in its more extreme measures. Yeah.
The Cylons were more human than the humans sometimes.
Yeah, I would have to rewatch it to completely agree with you, but I think that I understand what you're saying. They at least were experiencing new things and considering their options when they did so. Instead of always, politics and stuff. So that's what Jason conjured up for us. And then we're going to the last one.
Whoa, the last one?
Yeah. So no big answer screen this time because all the answers were kind of short. And this is the... Yeah, imagine that. Tara says, Phandalin, because that's where she met her future wife. I just wanted to add this one because I know Phandalin now. You've always talked about Phandalin. A lot of people know Phandalin. It's a simple town. It's it's a simple town. There's nothing special, but it's the place where you meet someone, you know? Yeah. And kind of... now I have to... I have watched Thor Ragnarok again. And I thought it was better than the last time I watched it. So...
it's a cinematic masterpiece.
I must say that, of course, Asgard isn't the place, it's a people, you know? That sentence did struck home a bit more this time, and Ragnarok could be a bit more into the background and for me, and I liked it more this time. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
still not my favorite, but
no. But it's also not my favorite.
No. So now I'm watching Infinity War with my son.
But Phandalin, I really love. If you watch the Matt Colville videos, the running the game videos, he always talks about the village of Hamlet.
Yeah.
As his main village, as his main starting point. And really, the village of Phandalin really holds a special place in my heart because I always try to. Insert it in all my adventures now because I really love the village. I really love there's a lot of background in the village and a lot of story inside this village. Even though, there's not a lot of description about the village, but still, you can make whole adventures just about Phandalin, and yeah. It's one of my favorite locations in D&D at the moment, and I have the Baldur's Gate book, and I have the Waterdeep book, and still Phandalin is one of my favorite locations.
Yeah,
for villages and towns, and
at the same there was this villages in which was now I have to think about it. It was kind of homeless, you know, or kind of Phandalin. Which was part of the night below, and that became their hometown in the end. Yep. They settled there, and it grew, and it was made ready for war and stuff. And it just started out as this little base with crossing across the river that you could go on foot, but it became so much more. And I like those places. But in this case, also, what happens there, you know?
Hey, Shank says...
Well, first, welcome to the stream. Welcome for the subscription. And now he says, the most epic location I've ever visited is possibly this weird subplane that we pass into by going through a magic mirror. It was like a plane of access points to other similar mirrors. It was disturbing, so I left and destroyed the mirror. I think Vix also told us about that in an earlier episode of Talking Void. And, you know, mirror realms are kind of great because, she was the DM. So, these are disturbing places. You know, if you see the scene in the kind of horror movie, I think there was even a great X-Files episode where there was a carnival and there was this mirror maze with this...
that's actually a long time ago, but I know the episode you mean.
Yeah, and they're always scary, you know.
Yeah.
And even the John Wick mirror maze thing was cool. And those weren't, of course. Well, the X-Files one was bizarre, but the John Wick one wasn't that bizarre, but they always instill a certain sense of wonder in a way, because you never know where the attacks will come from. But then when it's got magical mirrors and you can step through them, I always like those things as a kind of interconnecting point. Hey, Fix, talking about your mirror maze.
Thanks for the subscription once again.
Yeah.
And it sounds like a very Shanks thing to do, to destroy the mirror.
Yeah, I think
as
as well.
The man is full of action.
He probably did. He pulled a pistol on it, I think. Yeah. Talking about me, talking about Shanks talked about his epic occasion, which was your mirror maze. Yeah. Either he crashed a car into it or he shot it with a pistol.
Yeah, he crashed the car to it, shot it with a pistol, or did something else flashy and
shot it twice with his 2 pistols, and then left with a beautiful woman. Yeah.
into the sunset.
Yeah, of California.
It was in the Twilight Realm, but still there was a sunset, especially for.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. So I suddenly feel like I died again because of what Shanks said. He's getting a bit of a reputation. Yeah, you do.
Yeah, across the stream, man.
Yeah. So, but of course, the best spot that you've ever been in, the most epic location, is the location where you found your love, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, it's very fun that you say that, because on my first date with my wife, the first dates were at a restaurant and they were fun, but they weren't the deal breaker, so to say. But
the deal maker.
The deal maker, sorry, yeah. But as soon as we went to the Elf Fantasy Fair, one of the fantasy renaissance fairs in the Netherlands, that's where the spark. I don't think I don't know if you can say it in English, but that's where we found our spark, I think. So
I think
also,
it sounds
we were
amazing.
in a fantastical location, and yeah, that's where I met that's where we hit it off on the Elf Fantasy Fair in the Netherlands.
Well,
so if you ever visit the Netherlands in, I think, April, go visit the Elf Fantasy Fair. It's awesome and it's amazing.
I think that for me, where I met my wife, where she rather met me in a way, because she fell in love, I wasn't in love with her at that point, was at a reenactment event where we were both in medieval clothing. And then I think we actually kind of sealed the deal on... not on a very similar. Man, what am I talking about? We went on with reenacting. Let's put it that way, and that was really a special thing for us in those first years.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I really didn't know about your reenacting past until a couple of 2 months ago, where you said something about, where I drew one of the characters, and you said, well, that armor is not accurate because blah, 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 blah. and then you started talking about a whole reenacting past that I never heard about.
Yeah, well, I did. My father made a society, the Landen van Herwaarts Over, which was a reenactment society which did real life medieval things, not the knightly stuff, but the normal stuff people did, accurate clothing and stuff. And then he did Archeon, of course, the medieval part of Archeon he designed. And then after that, he did his historical advisory bureau at Scapril, where we would perform on markets, in medieval markets and stuff, and medieval events across the country. And for that, I did improv theater, and I took on some roles for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Never knew that.
Yeah, now you know.
And now you know.
Yeah. So, and that was pretty fun for a while. Yeah. I think I did that about 12 years or something. Yeah.
Yeah, still don't know you as well as I would like.
Yeah. Well, that's the fun part of it, really, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, those were all the answers of this evening.
Wow.
So Vix and Shanks came in at the last moment and experienced the climax of this conversation, where I confessed to doing reenactment, and we both confessed about doing meeting our wives in kind of medieval/fantasy kind of settings. Yeah, which is funny. Well, I enjoyed it, but what I was here for. Yeah, so we got sidetracked a lot, as always, talking about all kinds of stuff, but I think we had a wonderful show, Eric.
Yeah, we had a lovely show, and if you want to watch the whole show, you can watch it in a couple of days on YouTube. So
probably, yeah. And if Michelle is back from holidays right then, in other ways, it's the holidays, it's a bit different. In 3 weeks, we have another Precipice of Dreams. Next week will be another Jasper's Laboratory at the same time spot as this one, so 9 p.m. Central European time, where I'll be going into the first real dungeon of my Dramour campaign, why I designed it the way I did, and what happened there. I think that's... I'm really enjoying that part of the Jasper's Lab series, and I hope those who are watching it will do as well.
I will be joining you as well.
Okay, thanks. And then I think as soon as we'll have a special announcement about the special one-shot again. But I'll keep that off for a bit, because let's do that when everything's been set in motion. So I'm not doing the introduction now, but it's kind of, teaser, so to say. A couple of people in chat might know what we're talking about. So, thanks for joining us all. Dankjewel.
Yeah.
In Dutch, yeah. And I had a blast. You had a blast. Did chat have a blast? Now we have to wait for the answer, because they're all typing. And we're a bit earlier, so we have to consider the delay and everything. So now I have to talk some more. Blasted, legit.
Yeah.
And I see a kiss symbol appearing. I love this kiss as well, by the way, Eric.
Yeah, it's better than I expected. It works better than I expected.
Boom.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Really had a blast this evening. And thank you, Jasper, for hosting again.
No, my pleasure, and thanks for being my guest. Goodbye, everyone. See you soonish.
Yeah, goodbye, and see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.